A campaign clearly in which I talk about cracking down on crime, supporting the police, refunding our heroes, the police, hiring more police, taking the handcuffs off the police and putting it on the criminals.
Well, that is the one and only Curtis Sliwa on election night, the New York City legend, founder of the anti-crime volunteer group, the Guardian Angels, who has also spent decades on the streets and in the subways of the Big Apple, focusing on crime and the quality of life in a city. And he's been a long-time popular talk show host. Well, now, Curtis is the Republican candidate for mayor. He is expected to potentially face Democratic Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams in November. That once the ranked choice votes are all tabulated. So, man, oh man, are we going to have a fiery campaign. Curtis Sliwa joins us now. Curtis, always great to see you. First, what does New York City and other cities across the country, what do they need since they're confronted with such rising crime recently?
Well, first off, Eric, we are the largest city in America with the slowest recovery rate. And all these politicians, the professionals, the wonks, they have no idea. They haven't made the connection yet. The reason people aren't flocking back to work in the empty high-rise buildings that are a ghost town, the reason people are not visiting, the reason the tourists are shying away from New York City is because of the crime. Crime in the streets, crime in the subways, crime in the park, crime everywhere. And that needs to be addressed. And I have been consistent in fighting crime since I started the Guardian Angels in 1979. I obviously helped Rudy Giuliani elected. His mandate was law and order in 1993. I learned a lot from what he did to take the city from being the crime capital, the murder capital of America, to becoming the largest safe city in America. And it starts by putting back qualified immunity. Now, this is a difficult argument because most of the taxpayers don't understand what's happened here and is happening across the country. Our police officers who risk their life each and every day are having stripped from them the protections that we, the taxpayers, afford all civil servants, elected officials, judges, district attorneys. Now police officers have to go out and prospect for their own police malpractice insurance policy, the way doctors do in private practice. Now, how is a police officer who graduates the academy earning about $42,000 a year for the first 5 years in the NYPD, can't even find affordable housing? How is he or she going to be able to afford an actual personal policy for malpractice as a police officer? So what you've done is you've made it even twice as hard for the police to go out there and do the job. I want to refund the police. I want to hire 3,000 more police. And I want to take the handcuffs off the police, the heroes, not the zeros that they were made last summer, and have them put on the criminals. Lock them up, throw away the key, and then address how's that working, that no bail issue that has released so many predicate felons into the street. There should be bail, and criminals should be remanded to jail.
You know, Eric Adams, who could potentially be your opponent, you know, he's a former police officer, captain in the NYPD. He carries his service revolver. He's been tough on crime. Here he is talking about that. Listen.
When you have worn a bulletproof vest for 22 years and stood on street corners and watched babies wake up to gunshots and not alarm clocks, when you watch mothers teach their children the drills of how to duck, how dare those with their philosophical and intellectual theorizing in their classroom mindset talking about the theory of policing? You don't know this. I know this. I'm going to keep my city safe. I know this.
Well, he says that, but what does he stand on qualified immunity?
Well, he urged it. He became the proponent. They would always, the Democrats say, well, look at Eric Adams. He served as an NYPD police officer for 20 years. He wants qualified immunity stripped from him. By the way, he carries a weapon. I don't carry any weapons. As you know, see me out in the street, I don't have a bulletproof vest. I was shot 5 times on the orders of John Gotti Sr. to the Gambino crime family. I ride the subways each and every day. Eric Adams doesn't. And last summer, when there were the shooters and looters, did he stand up for his fellow police officers who were being attacked, having cocktails thrown at them, the equipment vandalized, graffiti everywhere, F the police, and worse words that I can't even use on the Fox News channel? No. He actually stood on the sidelines where I was out there with the Guardian Angels battling, fighting the shooters and looters from Antifa and Black Lives Matter, while Eric Adams every day with his friend, because he's a de Blasio Democrat, they're like two peas in a pod, was painting Black Lives Matter in the streets instead of supporting the police, which I was doing not only verbally, but physically. I got a broken jaw. The cops were told to stand back, Eric, by de Blasio. And you heard crickets from Eric Adams, former police officer, about that.
Well, Adams is not here to defend himself. We hope to have him on. I have asked for an interview. I have not yet. But finally, Curtis, look, New York's an overwhelmingly Democratic city. But we've elected Republicans before. John Proy Mitchell, the great LaGuardia, John Lindsay, Rudy Giuliani. Why do you think you can succeed with this message?
Well, I have an independent party line also in the general election. So for people who would never vote for a Republican, they can segue through. Also, as you know, I'm very compassionate towards the emotionally disturbed, the homeless. I take care of them with the Guardian Angels. And probably the key point that has attracted so many across that dividing line of partisanship is I'm the first candidate ever to call for no-kill shelters. We are not going to be killing dogs and cats any longer who are sent to the animal shelters and within 72 hours are euthanized. And it's do as I say, not as I do, Eric. I not only take the subways, I have 15 cats that I raised with my wife in a 320 square foot apartment in the Upper West Side. Yes, and every one of them would have been euthanized. That's right. Everyone would have been euthanized in the shelter had my wife not gone to rescue them. And Eric, people can learn more about my campaign and help me fight off the Democrats, and especially AOC, All Out Crazy. All they have to do is go to CurtisSliwaforMayor.com. That's CurtisSliwaforMayor.com. Help me defend my honor, because you know what they're going to call me? A racist, a homophobe, a sexist, a misogynist. It's what they always do against Republicans.
Curtis Sliwa, who started as a night manager in the Bronx at McDonald's and started his group. I've covered you for decades, Curtis. This is going to be quite an astounding election, folks, as you can see. Curtis Sliwa, Republican candidate of the great city of New York. Curtis, thank you. And we will be right back.
Thank you, Eric, for the time.